A crisis that now echoes across India, Kabul, and Islamabad. A border boiling over the rugged Durand line, an invisible scar between Afghanistan and Pakistan, has once again turned into a front line of fire and fury. Namaskar, you're watching The Global Eye with me, Mosmi. In the last 72 hours, Taliban and Pakistani forces have exchanged heavy fire across multiple border points. Both sides accuse the other of violating sovereignty and carrying out unprovoked attacks. According to Afghan officials, dozens of Pakistani soldiers have been killed in overnight border operations. They claim that three major Pakistani outposts have been captured in what they describe as a direct retaliation for Pakistan's airstrikes inside Afghanistan's territory, including alleged attacks near Kabul and Paktika. Islamabad, on the other hand, insisted that it destroyed multiple Taliban outposts, killing scores of Afghan fighters and accusing Kabul of sheltering anti-Pakistan militants. As a result, key border crossings including Torkham, Chaman, Kharlachi, Ghulam Khan and Angoor Adda have been shut down, halting trade, trapping travelers and disrupting the lives of thousands along the frontier. The rhetoric has become venomous now. The bullets real. Meanwhile, Afghanistan has erupted in jubilation after reportedly launching heavy retaliatory strikes as Pakistani military positions along the volatile border. Videos emerging from cities like Jalalabad, Khost and Kandahar show civilians dancing in the streets, waving Afghan flags and chanting slogans in support of the Taliban-led forces. Fireworks lit up the night skies as crowds hailed what they call the defensive victory. Against whom? Against Pakistan's aggression. Now, let us view it from the beginning. Afghan foreign ministers warning from Indian soil. The timing of the violence is striking. As the clashes erupted, Afghanistan's acting foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi was on an official visit to India, holding talks with external affairs minister S. Jaishankar and other senior officials. Speaking from New Delhi, Muttaqi sent a fiery warning to Pakistan, a message deliberately delivered from Indian soil carrying symbolic weight. He said, "Don't provoke Afghanistan too much." These are his words. The world has tested the courage of Afghans from the Soviets to the Americans and they all failed. We will not allow anyone to violate our sovereignty again. These are Muttaqi's words. He further declared that Afghanistan's territory would not be used against any country, including India, a line clearly meant to assure New Delhi while implicitly challenging Islamabad's long-standing allegations. And the irony is sharp. Pakistan, once the patron of the Taliban, now finds itself accused by Kabul of aggression, and the Afghan foreign minister is issuing warnings to Islamabad not from Doha or Beijing, but from India, Pakistan's arch rival. Now let's see the Pakistan's counter-narrative, terrorist from Afghan soil. These are the words sent by Pakistan. Pakistan's military quickly hit back, claiming that the Afghan side initiated hostilities and that militants linked to Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) continued to operate freely from Afghan soil. For years, Islamabad has accused the Taliban government of harboring armed groups responsible for deadly attacks in Pakistan's border provinces of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. According to Pakistani defense sources, recent Afghan attacks have crossed red line, forcing retaliatory airstrikes to protect national security. The strikes, they argue, targeted TTP camps, though Kabul insists the bombs fell on civilian areas near Kabul and in Paktika. This is not just another border skirmish. It represents the deepening rupture between two regimes born out of the same ideological soil but now trapped in mutual mistrust. And if you see the hidden war, the TTP factor, at the center of this blood-soaked chessboard lies the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan's TTP, a group that shares historical, tribal and ideological ties with the Afghan Taliban, but now wages war on the Pakistani state. Islamabad accuses Kabul of offering refuge to TTP fighters who routinely cross into Pakistan to conduct ambushes and suicide bombings. Afghanistan, on the other hand, denies the claim, insisting that Pakistan must fix its internal security failures instead of blaming others. This who harbors whom blame game has now become a permanent feature of their relationship. Now, Pakistan's domestic inferno, Lahore and Islamabad are on fire while its soldiers face bullets on the western border. Pakistan itself is burning within. In Lahore and Islamabad, the ultra-conservative party Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan TLP has launched a massive protest movement titled the Labbaik Ya Aqsa Million March. Ostensibly in solidarity with Palestinians, the march has taken on broader anti-government tones. Thousands of protesters attempted to march toward Islamabad, clashing violently with police along the Grand Trunk Road. Authorities imposed Section 144, suspended mobile internet, and sealed all major entry routes to the capital with containers and trenches. In Lahore, tear gas and batons filled the air as police tried to disperse demonstrators, throwing stones and chanting slogans. At least one protester was killed, dozens were injured, and several police personnel were wounded as violence spread. The Pakistan state, already stretched thin by economic crisis and political instability, now finds itself battling religious anger, street protest, and cross-border military escalations all at once. Now, if we speak about the Durand Line, a century-old dispute that refuses to die, at the heart of this conflict lies the Durand Line, the colonial-era border drawn by the British in 1893. Afghanistan has never officially recognized it, viewing the line as an artificial division cutting through Pashtun tribal lands. For Pakistan, the Durand Line is a settled international boundary. For Afghanistan, it is a symbol of lost sovereignty. This deep historical wound has now reopened with each artillery shell and drone strike. Both sides are now trading accusations of violating airspace and cross-border firing, and both have invoked national defense as justification. The symbolism of India, if you study the symbolism of India, a new diplomatic theatre, Afghanistan's choice to voice its warning from New Delhi was not accidental. It was a strategic signal to Pakistan and the world that the Taliban government is seeking to diversify its diplomatic partnerships and reduce dependence on Islamabad. India, long wary of the Taliban, appears to be recalibrating its stance. Officials in New Delhi see this as an opportunity to re engage Afghanistan, focusing on humanitarian aid, education, and diplomatic cooperation while subtly weakening Pakistan's traditional leverage in Kabul. Pakistan, however, views this growing India Afghanistan closeness as an existential threat, a move that could encircle it diplomatically and isolate it regionally. And the Afghan foreign minister's confident tone in India was therefore more than rhetoric. It was a message of independence and a public rebuke to Pakistan's attempts to dominate its western neighbor. Is Pakistan's military losing its grip? Field Marshal Asim Munir, Pakistan's powerful army chief, now faces a crisis on multiple fronts. A hostile border with Afghanistan, a resurgent TTP attacking Pakistan's troops, internal unrest led by religious and political groups, a battered economy, and shrinking global sympathy. For decades, Pakistan's military has projected itself as the ultimate defender of national security and regional stability. But recent months have raised the questions. Has the Munir doctrine failed? Despite his furious speeches accusing India of waging a proxy war through Afghanistan, Pakistan's strategy seems to be backfiring. Its former ally, the Taliban, has turned defiant. Its people are restless and its borders are bleeding. Who is fueling the violence? Is there an invisible hand? The latest escalation invites uncomfortable questions. Who benefits from pushing Afghanistan and Pakistan into open confrontation? Is this purely bilateral, or are regional powers like India, Iran, or others playing silent roles? Could India's re-engagement with Kabul be seen as a diplomatic balancing act or a calculated counter move to Pakistan's past influence? Has Pakistan's deep state underestimated how quickly alliances can shift? These are not accusations, but strategic questions, and each deserves to be asked aloud or thought about it. A region on edge, both Afghanistan and Pakistan now face the same internal enemies. Those are extremism, militancy, and instability, yet they remain locked in mutual hostility. The closing of trade routes has already hurt border communities and businesses. Refugee movements have been frozen. Humanitarian concerns are mounting and fear is spreading on both sides. The possibility of a wider regional conflict looms if cross-border strikes and counter-strikes continue unchecked. And if you see the diplomatic road ahead, despite the fiery exchanges, Afghanistan's foreign minister has said that relations must go through diplomatic channels. Behind the bluster, there remains a recognition that both countries are too fragile to afford a full-scale war. The next few days will be crucial. Whether through mediation by Qatar, Saudi Arabia, or regional back channels, a ceasefire mechanism is essential. At present, Afghanistan is definitely celebrating victory. But escalation can happen anytime. But diplomacy can only work if both sides are willing to confront the truth that their mutual mistrust has become the greatest threat to their own survival. Now, we all must again ask, is Pakistan's growing chaos an internal failure or a byproduct of foreign meddling? Has Afghanistan, long seen as Pakistan's backyard, finally declared its independence in diplomatic and military terms? Is India silently reshaping the regional chessboard by backing Kabul diplomatically while isolating Islamabad strategically? And most crucially, can Pakistan's military elite led by Asim Munir still claim to control the country's fate when both borders and cities are at flames? A fire that could spread more anytime. The current crisis is more than a border war. It is a collision of narratives, identities, and failed assumptions. Afghanistan wants to assert its sovereignty. Pakistan wants to contain perceived threats. India wants to redefine its regional relevance. Each player is moving with calculated caution, and yet a single misstep could ignite a regional blaze that no one can contain. In the smoldering silence of Torkham and the tear gas of Lahore, one truth stands clear. South Asia is once again walking a tightrope between diplomacy and disaster. Analysts see the Afghan celebrations as the Afghanistan's citizens are, people are now celebrating their victory. They see these celebrations as more than spontaneous joy. They reflect a growing sense of nationalism under Taliban rule and deep resentment toward Pakistan, long accused by Afghans of meddling in their affairs. For the Taliban leadership, these displays of public unity bolster the image of defending national pride and sovereignty. For more updates and insights, keep watching The Global Eye.